Again, I want to thank Andre for holding this series and for inviting me and inviting Jenna to read. It's awesome. I'm going to read, maybe I won't introduce this first poem. Do you hate your body? Do not go, and do not go, and do not wonder. Having placed a bird, a common thrush, here in front of you, I believe only that the sand is relentless, which is to say that the bird is an apology. What we once called pause, we now call whole. Poor bird, bevy, murmuration, or otherwise, you may never skitter on the water like a rock. You may never splinter in our jaws like a bird. So, I often approach readings a little bit like a rock concert, because I'm totally a rock star. Right? Not really. But I want to entertain folks, and I usually try to want to keep it like light and fun, and I don't want to scare people away. The problem is I don't write light, fun poetry that doesn't scare people away, so it makes it really difficult to figure out what to read. And especially now, because I'm working on a manuscript called The Littlest Death. And what that is really looking at, other than the obvious sexual reference, is suicide and its relationship to the trans and genderqueer and LGBT community, my relationship to suicidal thoughts, and so it's not light, and yet it's also been really important for me to write, and there are hopefully moments of lightness in there, because sometimes when I'm in a dark spot, or when other folks are in dark spots, it sometimes feels also just totally absurd and a little bit surreal, and it's also kind of funny sometimes, which is sick, and I know it. So this manuscript is set up through a series of questions that people have asked me as I've sat on lots of panels as a trans person, and so people ask whatever questions they want, and I'm always give them very polite answers, and I have different answers in my head that I give them very polite ones, and and so I want to, in this manuscript, answer the literal questions less literally and more lyrically, and I want to answer the lyric questions with a bit more narrative and maybe a bit more association. So that's what you'll hear, a series of questions that I have actually been asked, and then also some questions that I want to be asked that I have not been asked. So we'll start with, what did your husband say? I used to be married. There's nothing that spectacular about a zipper. My father did not die yesterday. One twist in a tie-down, and it will be quiet for the duration of the drive. I'm still horny. I never use a word like bench. That is the fattest bird I have since ever seen. There is more than one way to hit a wall. Sometimes the heart is hateful. The eyes are swollen shut, and so therefore they are seeing other things. The stair's primary purpose is to permit passage from floor to floor. It's a holiday. In English, they call it Day of the Dead. Fuck the French. Sometimes the hands freeze, but what is liquid still stays liquid in the chest. Is that a sailboat? Are we going home now? As a political position, I make of myself not a martyr, but a cylinder of grief. A demand is still attention to absence. The wind is easing. There is an axe splitting wood from a door. It is the people who never attempt suicide who have to survive it. I finished the dishes, and what followed was a form I could believe in. I'm still hungry. We are monsters and monstrous. Totally. There is a statistical definition of regression. The body is not a world, but a word. It's the kind of call we stay awake for in our sleep. I never use a word like bench. A hand is still an intention to need. It's a bird for only one reason. It's not a sailboat. It allowed itself to be pulled through the sky. What is something you always wanted to have happen? I no longer feel destined to be alone, or rather, I am lonely when I masturbate without words. I masturbate when I am not lonely, and I masturbate when I feel lonely for words. The impropriety is tangible. I touch it. What if you are not this version of you, but you are still a version of yourself, and so therefore you are someone else? The words never say your name directly, but they are only masturbating, only destiny. They have each other. What if you are someone else? What if you had a dream in which you were holding your breath? I am lonely when my own words masturbate me, but I, myself, am not a masturbator. What if you are recognizable? I am not lonely nor destined to be masturbating, but the masturbating part of me is not too often heard. What if people see all of you, and so therefore see none? I feel recognizable, or at least, I won't sleep with you because I'm lonely. I know you. You are holding your breath. You are not dreaming about a version of yourself. You are holding your belt. That is the only good reason I will sleep with you. All of the other reasons are not bad. They are poor. If you had that dream, who exactly would you be? Would the dream be a dream of masturbating, or would the dream itself be masturbating? Would your name be lonely without you? Would the dream be yours if there was only one girl? You would not be you, certainly, and it seems unlikely that you would be the girl, although that is more likely than you trying to be you. You are definitely not you. You are definitely not masturbating. You are neither the breath, nor the belt, nor the boy. She is familiar, but she is not you either. You are familiar with holding. What if you become unfamiliar? Will you masturbate? Will you find her? Will you withhold her? Your words? I do not mean this metaphorically. I mean, I've been indulging all of the holes in your mouth. This has become familiar and is thus more about masturbation than masturbation is about masturbation itself. But like I said, you've been here. You like it lonely. You've been recognizable for years. You like it more than sort of. You sink.